And what does it mean to be a host family? What is the process? What would you expect from adoption by shepherd care? Um, and I can tell you there's a preliminary application and then there's a formal application. But what we commit to is that there's a staff that's always available to you 24 hours a day. We rotate, or we'll say, okay, as a staff in shepherd care, you're responsible for this family, you're responsible for this family, that when there's anything that could come up, can you translate this for me? You know, and it's 9 o'clock at night. Who do you call? You can call us. If there's an issue or there, whatever, we're there for you. We do preparation specific to hosting. So we would have at least 2 webinars that we would do with you before the child comes, and it's specifics, just such as how much clothes do the kids bring? What can I buy them? What is too much? You know, like common questions like that. In order to do this hosting, like I said, there's a preliminary home assessment, and we go to your home, we get background information clearances for you all, and then we talk to you about the process of when this child comes in. What's the first thing that you do? And you could do a preliminary home study, or if you say, you know, I know I'm going to adopt anyways, it might not be this child, you can do a full home study. And and we can talk a little later if you have questions about that. How we do the matching is when we get to know you, you're going to tell us, I feel we all have fears in adoption, you know, and we should be the person in our agency that you can tell us, honestly, this is what really scares me. I think I can handle this. And then we are able to, from the kids that they give us, that we could say, let us send you maybe 2 or 3 children and see what you think. And some families have told me in the past, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm shopping. I feel like it's not that. It's there's a lot of kids, and we really want this to be a good match for you. During those 2 weeks, we prepare kind of I would say like a calendar of daily things to do, and you can choose to join the group, or you can say, tomorrow I'm not going to be able to go to the zoo, for an example, because we have something planned. But you do have something to do with the kids most every day. We do, and this is mandatory, that at least 3 times we get together as a group, and we ask all the families to come, and we take into account the families that and their schedules. But the reason that we do that is that I'll give you an example. Last year we had 1 child that was hosted by 1 family. Well, that family felt like that wasn't the child for them. They came to, it was a pool party, and that family was still going through their child, you know, and hosting them. And they met this other little girl that was being hosted by someone else. That someone else decided not to pursue adopting. And the family that did not adopt the child that they hosted is now getting ready to go to Colombia to pick up their child. That little girl, Yes, and that little girl had an opportunity to be adopted. If we don't have those get-togethers, that can't happen. We invite other people that maybe they didn't host, but maybe they really want to do this, and you never know. I hosted personally, and we brought these kids because Fana begged us. We thought there's no way they're going to be adopted. It was a 15-year-old little girl and a 10-year-old little boy. And I don't, we know that we're not going to adopt again, but I know that I hosted these kids. Well, you know what? There were two families that were interested, and one family is getting ready to travel next month and pick up the 15 and the 10-year-old. They did not host. They came to two parties that there was at different events, and then they were able to interact with the kids, and they asked, since I was hosting, could we take them to our home? Could we do things with them? They were able to do it, and they're adopting these kids. So that's why those meetings are really, really important. We feel like it gives the community an opportunity and individuals, and it's not just anyone we screen, who's going to come. And then who is able, what is the eligibility requirement for hosting? It's someone that's over the age of 25, that they do a home assessment and it's approved. Adoption by Shepherd Care can do it. And if you live in somewhere else, it could be at your agency. We would give your agency or a person that's doing the hosting the outline, exactly what needs to be in there, and then Adoption by Shepherd Care would put kind of like their letter of approval, because it is our Hague accreditation that's we're responsible for these kids. And where is this? Our agencies in Florida, but we become very creative. Last year, we had a family that wanted to host. They did not want to do it in California. So they took 2 weeks vacation and they came here, and they were here for 2 weeks. We had another family from Maryland that they couldn't do the 2 weeks. So they came for a week. They spent time with a child that they potentially were adopting, and it worked for them. So we don't just say, no, it doesn't fit in a box. I feel like we can be flexible and yet be able to do exactly what Columbia requires of us, the Hague accreditation that we have requires of us, and Florida law also, because we have to go by Florida law since our agency is in Florida. And we say that at least one parent needs to be available to be there. We've had situations where families feel like, well, and there's nothing wrong in putting a child in a summer camp. Some families have to do that, but we say it can't be from 8 to 6 p.m. because, why did they come? So when we have both parents working full time, the child is really being taken care of by the camp, and it's a great experience, but it could be a camp that's like a few hours or a couple times a week. Kids love they've never had an opportunity to do a camp where maybe this child loves art and there's an art camp, but it's not a babysitting thing. It has to be something that, and we help you through it. Let's try to figure out who can be with the child more. For some families, they say my husband can take off 1 week and I can take off another. Is that okay? That's a common question. And we say, yes. And if it's a girl, we want to make sure that the father feels comfortable, that the child feels comfortable. We check the background, to make sure. And you have friends in the community that have kids, and there's nothing, it's so easy for a child to connect to another child. So we say, be creative. Why don't you invite a family, a friends that have kids that age? And it's as simple as that. And it works. It really works. Why does it work? Because these kids are yearning to have a mom and a dad. I'm not going to lie. They're going to try to be on their best behavior, right? But 2 weeks, there's always going to be something. And that's why we're there to come alongside you, to think the fears through while their kids are here, not just when they leave or before they come. So we feel that that's an important time for you to be able to speak to us. When Fana comes, there's 2 chaperones that come. For 7 kids, 2 chaperones would have to come. And with Fana, it's a psychologist that's trained with Empower to Connect. You'll hear a lot about that because that's one of the things that we use to train families. She was here a couple years ago and had an opportunity we invited her to come and do the training, and they use it for the kids there. So we think that education and training for the kids and the families is important. So, and then misconception that I always find is like, okay, so if there's 2 chaperones, do I have to host the chaperone in my house for a week? We have learned and we feel that the law says for Colombia that a chaperone must stay in the home overnight, 1 night. And what we've done, and it's worked, is that the chaperone stays in one place, and then they can come visit the kids one time in the home and see them when we're all together. But it defeats the purpose if the chaperone is there the whole 2 weeks and it looks like, or it feels like, because they're not like that, but it feels like, oh, what do they think about me? I just served this for dinner. And then we don't want you to be worried about entertaining the chaperone. You have enough on your plate. So we provide a place for the chaperone to stay, and we provide the transportation. Sometimes the families become creative. We had one family that was in Georgia, and we said, yes, yes, let's host. So they flew the worker for really early in the morning, came back the next day, and it met the requirement for them to visit the home, but the child didn't have to leave the home. And that family that was in Georgia, they couldn't join us in all the events, but it was okay for them because they had kids and they kind of connected with other people.